for any of our speakers, let me ask you to do three things. First of all, formulate your contribution as a question. Secondly, state, if possible, to whom it is directed. And thirdly, keep in mind that brevity is a virtue. Who wants to go first? Yes, Vivian. Microphone is behind you, Vin.
Mr. Balmain, if you are Minister for Infrastructure, if you're not Minister for Infrastructure, and if there is a Labour government, is this the policy of the Labour government not to fund anything more for WestConnex?
Yeah, look, you'll see our commitments during the election campaign before July 2. Well, yes is the answer. Yes. Is that too hard? Port Botany rail freight link that we promised yesterday, $175 million. That's the sort of priority that we would have. That project will take 300,000 trucks off the road. As simple as that. We put over $1 billion into the Southern Sydney freight line. You don't have to think about, what I might do, or what Labor might do. Have a look at what we did. I have been the Minister before. The construction that was funded was the Southern Sydney freight line, $1 billion, $875 million for the Northern Sydney freight line. We got $2.1 billion allocated for the Parramatta Epping rail link. That was our priorities, as well as important regional roads like the Pacific Highway and the Hume Highway. We think it's very important. We're not against all road funding. We're for appropriate funding, and in cities, it's rail freight and passenger rail.
Anthony Albanese, my question, I have two questions.
You might want to identify yourself.
Yes, I think people probably know.
I think the Greens Party is a fair go.
Hello, I'm Michelle Cordius. Yes, I'm the Greens. And a staunch opponent of WestConnex.
You may do with one question.
Yes, sure, I was asked. Okay, so the question I have is, your political party. What is the position of your political party? Is your political party, Labor, opposed to WestConnex? And does your political party have a policy position that it will withdraw all federal funding to WestConnex?
Well, maybe you weren't listening. Maybe you weren't listening, Michelle, because there haven't been enough Green speakers up here. But not $1 did we give to construction, not $1 will we give to construction. But this is a project that is going ahead with state coalition government funding and with state coalition government backing. They're managers of this project. You've got to actually target the right area. I know there's an election on, so inevitably politics comes into it. But for goodness sake, it is a New South Wales coalition government project. The idea that federal Labor is responsible for a federal coalition government project is absurd.
Gentlemen, I see over there, you sir, with the glasses in your top pocket, go. You.
The question was not answered. The question was...
I think you've got the answer in there. Gentlemen now at the microphone, please sir, yes.
It was answered. It was not answered.
Please ask your question, sir.
You said that the money has already been drawn down, but what I'd like to know, because I hear it all the time on TV, funding is given to a body by the federal government or by any government, then there's some scrutiny, because when you get money from a federal body or from a state body, there's always scrutiny around that. You will use this money for X, Y and Z. Here are the outcomes that we want to see when we give you this money. So there's review periods. Are there any review periods? Because I don't think this money has been drawn down has been spent already, because we're still construction. So if the money's been drawn down and it's sitting in a fund, what can you do to ensure that that money delivers benefits for our community? And when you look at the benefits that it may deliver, can you also look at things such as, I'm a Haverhill resident, my council has been amalgamated, and lo and behold, the ex-director of New South Wales Planning Department is now the administrator.
Yes.
Please, can you look at those things? So, yes, what measures are in place to ensure that the money that has been drawn down is spent wisely, and if not, is brought back? Thanks very much.
I'll give you an example of the difficulty here, which is that the Victorian government, when the Andrews government was elected, the former coalition government had got an advance payment in Victoria of $1.5 billion, was paid in June of 2014. Okay, budget May, June. Andrews government gets elected, Tony Abbott says, give us the money back. They say, no. Guess what? The money didn't go back. It didn't go back. What happened with the WestConnex money, just like the $1.5 billion in WestConnex's case, there was $750 million was paid in June 2014. There was then a further payment of $215 million in 2015, then a further payment of $200 million in 2016, and that leaves $300 million the balance, which the Secretary says will be paid in 2016. The federal government does not build a railway line, a road. The state government manages, that's the federal structure that we're in. Like the federal government does not, with the exception of our veterans hospitals, run a bed. They don't run a school. They don't build a road, they don't build a rail line. The exception is rail freight, where the Australian Rail Track Corporation is owned by the Commonwealth. So that's the exception. The money has been given to the New South Wales government. That is done. The $2 billion loan, the contract was signed.
Can you provide
more than, well, seriously, well, I'm not making it up. It's called budget papers. And the $750 million was paid. You know, like, the way that movements are successful is they build alliances. They don't try and divide people who essentially agree on the same objectives. That's how this will be successful. And a state coalition government funded by Tony Abbott's government with his obsession with toll roads, you know, have a look at what I've said, have a look at the outcomes, such as the national audit achieved today, a practical outcome as a result, frankly, of hard work.